Fstoppers.com has teamed up with Mike Kelly one final time to produce Where Art Meets Architecture 3. In this tutorial, we cover everything you need to know about the business of architectural photography, as well as the tips and tricks necessary to photograph hotels and resorts. You're watching the behind-the-scenes series on the creation of this tutorial, and if you'd like to learn more about the full product, head over to fstoppers.com/store.
Patrick, you need to clean your room. This place is a disaster. This is our workstation while we're here, which happens to be Patrick's room. How do you feel about that?
It's nice to have work get done when I want to get work done, but
what about work get done when we want to get work done?
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's a little weird.
I'm gonna need to be in here at about 6 tomorrow. That's my wake up time.
I thought we had a whole extra room just for the work room, but apparently that room got...
You screwed up, David.
I couldn't pull all the strings. I'm sorry.
We only got 5 free rooms. So this is the brand new Dell XPS 15, and I think I have found a major flaw with this computer. I think if this computer is below 100% battery power, it currently is at 100% fully charged, but if it's below 100%, I think the USB jacks stop working, or they flicker on and off constantly. And when the laptop was charging at the last location, this is the little dongle to make the mouse work, that would constantly flip on and off, so the mouse was super jittery. However, the touchpad mouse worked. And then of course, this laptop is so thin it doesn't have Ethernet, so this is a Ethernet adapter. It would constantly cut on and off to our little mini server. And it did that all day, and then when I came back and it said fully charged, all of a sudden it just started working again, which is insane because this is like the most high-end Windows laptop you can currently buy.
While we were editing, Mike moved on to the next lesson location, which was a hotel suite.
What's going on behind you, Mike?
We're taking out a door here so we can get the right shot. So when we first came into this room, and I was trying to find the right composition, the closet door here, there's actually 4 of them. We took 2 or 3 of them out. You could not put the camera behind the door because they're locked in there. So what we had to do, we called the maintenance guy, he came up, he unscrewed all the hinges for us and everything. We were actually able to get the camera back in the closet door. So here's the difference it makes from standing in front of the door to taking that door off and getting far enough back so we could actually compose and have some room in the frame. So when we're in front of the closet door, the bed is enormous. It takes up almost the entire frame. As soon as we back up, the photo starts to breathe a bit. We can see some bathroom, we can see some living room. We start to get those leading lines that come in, but when we're so close, we miss almost all of that. It's like we're almost on top of the bed getting into it or something, and again, because we're at such a wide angle focal length, things tend to get distorted from that close. So obviously it goes without saying, you don't want to just start taking hotel rooms apart, but with these big budget clients, if it's going to take an extra 15 to 30 minutes to get the perfect shot, go ahead and take the time, do it right. This is a pretty good example where like 99% of photographers wouldn't even consider actually trying to move that door. They just try to shoot around it. But don't be afraid to ask for what you want. If you need to get the camera back, find out how you can do it, go ahead and ask, they'll be glad to help.
There's this super fancy bidet in this really nice suite. I've never used a bidet my whole life because they've always been separate. When I go to Europe, they're separate, and I don't want to like walk around waddling with a wet butt. But the idea that this one is like all built into the toilet and does it have a blow dryer that like dries you afterwards? I'm gonna go try this for the first time. Bye guys. Oh my gosh, look at it. Just because I got near it, it's doing stuff. Look at this, there's users you can save. I guess the position of your butthole will be saved. Okay, I'm going to press the rear water stream. I don't know why I'm so afraid of this. I hear water, but it's not. Oh gosh! Oh my God. No. I almost turned on the front one. But there's a dryer here, so let's turn that on. It's like super hot air. I'm gonna purchase one of these right when I get home. All right, Mike, what's the plan for this?
We're gonna shoot this at twilight, but we're scouting it like 6 hours early. So we get our shot, we're gonna have to stage the crap out of that. We're gonna stage this, we're gonna go up on the roof while Adam's staging this. We'll get our shot, then we get our shot, Adam will be done, he'll come over. I will start directing him on the walkie, what to move, what to change. Alright guys, so we're now out on the balcony waiting for that perfect sunset. So sunset is at 7 and at about 6 o'clock it's dinner time. People are starting to kind of trickle out. I imagine that the light will be perfect for this shot around 6:15, 6:30. I've got quite a bit of reflections going on down there. I thought a polarizer would help, but unfortunately it's not doing too much. There is one issue I do want to take care of, and that is the flare on the lens from the sun. What I'm going to do is actually one super simple trick. I'm just going to physically put my hand in front of the lens, block the sun, which will remove the flare, and then composite in the sky afterwards. When I block that sun, it'll get rid of the flare, but then again, I do want to make sure I get a clean sky plate, so I'm going to take my hand out, capture it without my hand in the way, and then put the two together in Photoshop. Alright guys, so you can see here, I can barely get my face behind the camera, but with the Cam Ranger's live view, I can so easily do this. Alright, and as you can see here guys, as soon as I put my hand over that sun, the color in the tree, the green gets much more saturated and contrasty. The flare from the lens goes away entirely, and the scene looks much better. Obviously the problem is though, I've got to remove my hand in the final image, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace that sky entirely with a new one. I think for this shot, I'm going to end up going into my sky library and finding the perfect sky to match this image. One thing I do want to mention is that I have a library of thousands of skies. Every time I see a pretty sunset, take out my camera, take a few shots, add them into the library. I'm always replacing skies, always tweaking, and I think that many photos can be improved by just the perfect sky, which sometimes, as you know, you don't get on location all the time.
After wrapping up the lesson by the pool, we had to quickly run down to the restaurant to capture the shot before sunset.
One thing to keep in mind is that the restaurant is open. When you're shooting a hotel, oftentimes you're not going to have the luxury of closing a restaurant or an amenity to get the perfect shot. We are going to have people milling about, but I'm not too worried about that. I think it is going to add to the effect of it being a lively restaurant on the oceanfront in a beautiful setting. Because there are paying customers here, it's going to limit how much lighting I can do. For that reason, I'm going to use hot light, which is much less annoying than strobe. I don't want to run around, no pun intended, flashing these people while they try to eat dinner. So like I said, I'm going to use a hot light. It's going to be much more gentle on the eyes, and I think it's going to work with the effect we're going for here. And lastly, one thing I just thought about is because there's so much wind out here, if I was going to use strobe to light these trees and this grass, it would be a nightmare to composite. When I use hot light, that light is going to be on for the full length of the exposure, and any blur in the trees is also going to be lit by the hot light. I put a polarizer on because I felt like this foreground, the water was a little bit brown, a little bit dull, and I know that a polarizer can cut some reflections or add a lot of color to a scene, and it worked beautifully. Between these two shots, you can see the sky starts to pop a little bit more. That water looks nice and blue because it picks up the reflection of the clouds, and I'm liking this a lot more. Again, just as a simple polarizer, rotated to add as much effect as possible. I love the Cam Ranger.
By this point, we had been shooting for almost 12 hours, but we still had one final shot to get. And it turned out to be the most infuriating photograph of this entire tutorial.
So, here's the issue. If you look at these chairs, they're placed in sets of 2. My eye goes right to this line. However, I blame you, Hans, for pointing out that if you look diagonally, they're not straight. I didn't even see that. And I don't think Mike saw that either. And then you pointed it out, and now it's not good enough for Mr. Perfection. So what we're trying to do is get these lines perfectly diagonal. So as you can see, this one is right, but nothing else is right. Patrick's pretending to do work so that he doesn't have to do this with me. There's a live view. You don't have to look through the viewfinder, Patrick. You don't need 2 hands on the buttons on the back. Why don't you get your lazy ass away from this stuff? Stop,
I am doing important
Stop
things.
pretending to like fiddle.
Yelling the light.
Yeah, that's called tape. That's not hard. And come over here and start doing this crap that you're making us do. Quit acting like some diva. Get to work. The picture.
He's standing there. He's laughing behind his camera. He knows what he's avoiding.
Patrick, you gotta get over here too.
I'm gonna fix that, but that's pretty much it.
So somehow we did a very mediocre job, but Mike says that it looks good on camera, and that's all that matters. So we're moving over. We're now halfway done.
I think this line needs to be, it's like converging here and here.
It's got it, yeah, exactly.
They should be converging
I'm letting Mike
here, right?
What?
So throughout this tutorial, like all of our tutorials, we have to get hero shots of the instructors in really awesome locations shooting. And normally those shots are done with the drone. I call these promo shots. These are shots that are definitely gonna make the promo video. Are we gonna get one of those today?
We might get a behind the scenes video when I wreck this.
You're like ruining his shot. I think you just ruined the entire shot.
I knocked down a few of the papers.
The number one rule is once you take a photo, you can't move anything. You moved everything.
I just moved every piece of paper.
When we first showed up here, this was about half put together. All the tables were out, but the stage was completely empty, and it felt like there was nothing really going on. It was kind of bizarre. So what we did was I set up a stage, and I put on top of that kind of a panel setup for if there were 6 or 8 speakers addressing a larger crowd. It immediately breathed some more life into this otherwise dull scenario. To add a little more life in here, we scoured the hotel and found one giant plant that we could actually move, but I don't want to just have one plant in here, so I'm going to double that. If you'll notice, the camera is behind me on a table, and I've chosen a very strong one-point perspective from a good amount of height right down the center of the room.
What the hell are you doing?
I laid down, take some pressure off my rib. It's like this stabbing pain right here.
What if I punch you right there?
That would be terrible.
Yeah? But it'd be good for behind the scenes though, right?
We can go to the hospital, is that what you want? All right, ow, jackass.
Why would you do that?
So we just finished up shooting. It's after 11 p.m. and I am beat. Can't imagine how Mike feels. He has to get the pictures, be creative, then stand in front of the camera for hours. We knocked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different shots today, which is crazy considering yesterday we only did 2. So it's a very successful day, but I am burnt out.
Stay tuned for next week's episode when Mike shows us more professional photography tips.
What is this?
This is a way of sandbagging because Mike didn't bring sandbags on the trip.
And as always, to learn more about the full tutorial, head over to fstoppers.com/store.